Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the HODLNOTS Weekly Warm-Up. I'm John,
I'm Vicky.
and this is not the news at 9 a.m. UTC, however, a little later, rare occasion. Let's get into some of the crypto headlines over the last couple of days. There's been a fair bit happening. Let's jump straight into Bitcoin, right? So, question has arisen the last few days, especially 90,000 Bitcoin or record gold price. Now, these are three things you need to know about Bitcoin this last week. Bitcoin has gained new warnings of a potential price breakdown. Why? As gold and silver hit new all-time highs in the shadow of Japanese market instability. Now, Bitcoin is counting down to Christmas in a few days, but is at a crossroads with bulls and bears locked in a struggle for control. Bitcoin price targets have becoming increasingly divergent as frustration builds over the lack of a breakout. Japan was also ruffled feathers with record bond yields as gold and silver smash all-time highs, but Bitcoin is anything but close to price discovery, as we know, as the bull-bear market cycle indicator sees multi-year lows. Not quite the positive start we want to do end of the year on, start this bulletin with, but such is as it is. Things to consider. Let's talk about what else is low. Vicky?
Yeah, and that definitely affected this next story because the market cap has dropped to an 8-month low as analysts warn of further downside. And we were just talking before about what the downside might be, and yikes, but see it and trade it. Anyway, the global cryptocurrency market capitalization has fallen to its lowest level in 8 months, wiping out much of 2025's gains and reinforcing concerns that the market has entered a deeper corrective phase. According to data from CoinGecko, total crypto market value slipped to 2.93 trillion in late Thursday trading, the weakest level since April. The decline marks a sharp reversal from the market's early October peak, which is nearly 4.4 trillion, representing a drawdown of roughly 33% from all-time highs. So Bitcoin has a lot to do with that, I'm sure.
Absolutely. All right. So, as Vicky has said, and we've been saying for a while, trade what you see, be very cautious. However, we can look at Bitcoin shortly, and I'm feeling a little bit more positive around that. But let's delve into some of the other stories as well. So, we know the institutions have been kind of some of the buzz phrases and key focus points for this year, institutional adoption. And for the first time in 6 weeks, Bitcoin institutional buys have flipped supply, new supply for the first time. So Bitcoin buying power from institutions has flipped the daily mined Bitcoin supply for the first time since the start of November. Woo! New data has shown. This new data is quantitative Bitcoin data is from a digital asset fund called Capriol Investments. Shows that institutions are buying more Bitcoin than miners are adding. Bitcoin is becoming a target for institutions again, as price action seeks a bottom more than 30% below October's all-time highs. Now, Capriol has also revealed that for the past couple of days, institutional buying has surpassed this newly mined supply. Okay, so we know what happens with demand and supply, ladies and gents. Bitcoin institutional demand is now 13% higher than the amount of newly mined Bitcoin on a rolling daily basis. So this is why I'm a little bit of cautious optimism as we look at Bitcoin in a few minutes' time. But until then, let's talk about what else is happening in the crypto world.
Yeah, and a good news story actually is to Brazil, because Brazil's crypto market grows up. Investment volumes jumped 43% in 2025. So crypto use in Brazil rose sharply in 2025 with, like I said, total transaction volume up 43% from a year earlier. So according to Mercado Bitcoin report, the jump came from more users allocating more money into crypto overall rather than doing quick trades. The average amount invested per user reached about 5,700 Brazilian reals, topping about $1,000 US for the first time. The report said this points to a more serious participation in market that has often been driven by small speculative trades instead. So users also started spreading holdings across more tokens, and the report said 18% of users held more than one crypto asset in 2025, up from prior patterns dominated by single asset exposure. So Bitcoin was the most traded asset on the platform, followed by USDT, and then Ethereum and Solana. But stablecoin activity rose the fastest, with transaction counts roughly tripling over the year, thanks to demand for lower volatility crypto options using macro uncertainty. So Brazil has definitely jumped on the bandwagon.
Absolutely. Another one of our fellow countries within BRICS. And it is important to see, we've spoken about South America a few times, Vicky. We've spoken about Venezuela. I think it was last week. We've spoken about Bolivia. And we do know that stablecoins are definitely on the rise. Another buzzword, buzz key phrase, and focal points for the year as well. Stablecoins, we've covered a fair bit extensively. And it's great to see when you see that macroeconomic or the macro picture where you see governmental and country instability around their own currencies, where stablecoins are the focus. Now, shifting to another developing country, and funny enough, in the top 10 fastest crypto adoption countries in the world, Indonesia. This is an interesting story as well. They have now listed 29 licensed crypto platforms as big exchanges start exploring the markets of this crypto curious country. So Indonesia's OJK has identified 29 licensed digital assets and crypto trading platforms just weeks after tightening digital asset rules. So Indonesia's Financial Services Authority, OJK, has published a whitelist of 29 licensed crypto platforms, officially spelling out which exchanges are legally allowed to operate in their country. The list, which includes names of entities and their apps or platforms, is meant to serve as an official reference for users to verify whether a provider is properly licensed before trading. DYOR. OJK has urged the public to transact only with entities on the list and to treat unlisted platforms as unlicensed operators. The clarification who can legally offer crypto services lands, as global players move to lock in Indonesian footholds. One such example, Robinhood. Robinhood has signed deals earlier this month to acquire Indonesian brokerage Buana Capital and licensed digital asset trader PT Padang Asset Crypto, a move that gives it entry to a market with more than 19 million capital market investors and about 17 million crypto traders. Every week, every article, there's always going to be one that talks about another country that is getting their regulatory framework, legal framework, and adoption all syncing all together. So go Indonesia.
And we actually have two of those stories today because the US lawmakers are at it again and they're pushing crypto tax relief, which is amazing. So it's going to affect small stablecoin payments and staking rewards. So two House lawmakers have put out a draft crypto tax bill that could target two issues regarding small stablecoin payments and how staking rewards are taxed. So the draft, called the Digital Asset Parity Act, comes from the Max Miller, who is a Republican from Ohio, and Stephen Horsford, who is a Democrat from Nevada. And it would create a US 200 capital gains tax exemption for purchases made with certain regulated US dollar stablecoins. It wouldn't apply to other cryptocurrencies, and it would not cover brokers or dealers. So to qualify, a stablecoin would need to be issued by a permitted issuer under the Genius Act, be pegged only to the US dollar, and have traded within 1% of US $1 on at least 95% of trading days over the 12-month period. So moreover, the draft says lawmakers are considering an annual cap to prevent the rule from being used to shelter investment gains, and the stablecoin provision would apply for tax years beginning 31 December this year. So that's great news, actually, if it comes out. We'll have to watch the US closely because we have quite a few US members on the call today. Good news for
Absolutely.
them.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And again, if the US is starting to push this, other countries may well start to adopt this, and
Mhm.
this may well expand beyond $200 at a point. But let's see what happens now. One of my favorite countries for what they've been doing regarding crypto. I think they're the fourth largest holder of Bitcoin in the world. Can anybody guess it? It's Bhutan. Now, Bhutan's back in the news, and we have covered a story a couple of months ago around what they've been doing in terms of their mining. So kudos to them. And even better is that they're committing 10,000 of their own Bitcoin to developing a mindfulness-based economic hub in their country. Now, the Kingdom of Bhutan, for those of you not sure it is, pull up a Google map, has taken its adoption of Bitcoin a step further by allocating a portion of its reserves, right, 10,000, to the development of a new special administrative region in their country called the Gelapu Mindfulness City, GMC. According to a press release, the country will channel 10,000 Bitcoin worth roughly $1 billion US dollars to support the long-term development of GMC. GMC is going to be the new economic hub designed for mindfulness, sustainability, and innovation. I don't think I can think of a better example of a use case of Bitcoin being used for the right thing. So go Bhutan, big supporter on this side. What do you think, Vix?
Yeah, absolutely. I just love the stories coming out from the entire world about how countries are adopting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies and using them kind of for mainstream things. So it's really good to see. And Australia lagging behind, but interestingly enough, we have the Grand Slam, one of the tennis greats, over here in January, and Nexo, which is actually a centralized finance platform. It offers like crypto loans and interest earning accounts and credit cards. They're actually going to be partners in the Australian tennis, and that will see it become the official crypto partner of the Australian Open. So the deal will also see Nexo sponsor several lead up events in the Summer of Tennis series, including the Brisbane Open, the United Cup, and the Adelaide International. So as part of the Nexo deal, branding will appear courtside on Nexo coach pods across the Australian Open and the smaller tournaments. So the Nexo spokesperson stated that partnering with Tennis Australia allows us to connect with millions of fans while aligning a world-class institution committed to long-term thinking and future progress. So that's fun to have a crypto sponsorship in a Grand Slam event, which is obviously worldwide. So we're getting there slowly.
Yeah, first it was football, American football, NFL. Now we're getting to tennis. It's interesting times and seeing how the fans are going to react. As you mentioned, Australia definitely has a crypto curious population. We know that certain regulations dampen a few things, but if it's coming to tennis, we'll probably see in golf and a few other things in the near future as well. Look out 2026. Now, speaking about another centralized, well, not an exchange, but a financial institution, the big one, Binance, has hit 300 million registered accounts 8 years after they launched their platform. Now, the leading crypto exchange, Binance, has surpassed 300 million registered accounts 8 years after its July 2017 launch. The exchange's growth is attributed to effective liquidity management and fast asset listings. It's also benefit from stablecoin markets and strategies that appeal to both retail and institutional participants. From the start, Binance has lowered barriers for global users and offered deep order books, creating greater liquidity. Professional market makers and expansion of derivative products further improved execution quality and kept spreads tight even during periods of volatility. And this is one of the reasons why we're big fans of trading on Binance. And who knows, ladies and gents, especially those in the States, Binance may well be making a comeback to 2026 the year. And we're going to get a whole bunch of new users signed up, and we'll be able to teach that again for our Western Hemisphere students again. Looking forward to that as well. Back to you, Vicky.
That would be amazing. Please, please, please. And another actually country that has kind of done full circle again is Hong Kong. So they've proposed new rules to tap insurance capital into cryptocurrencies. So the Hong Kong Insurance Authority, which is IA, is proposing new rules that would allow the city's 158 authorized insurers to channel funds into assets, including crypto. While the proposal signals an institutional thaw towards crypto, the regulator is still keeping its guard up with conservative risk framework. The proposal requires insurers to keep aside $1 in reserve for every dollar invested in crypto, representing a 100% risk charge on direct crypto asset holdings. This is heavy capital requirement mandated as buffer against the digital assets' renowned volatility. And it actually isn't a bad idea.
Yeah, insurance is everybody's responsibility. Not in terms of your own capital. When we talk about banks, we've mentioned an article before as well around this, but also looking after your own capital, making sure that you have insurance in place. And insurance could just be 2FA, it could be managing your seed phrases. We've spoken about this at length because mistakes do happen, especially when it comes to 50 million US dollars. You all need insurance and need to double check a few things. Now, we know it's end of the year where everyone's tired, and sometimes we do make these silly mistakes, but this is a lesson for all of you. Even if you've done many transfers, you send and receive, stable coins and the like, and you know how to do it, you can still slip up. A single transaction error has led to one of the largest on-chain losses seen this year after a user mistakenly sent nearly $50 million in USDT to a scam address in a classic address poisoning attack. According to on-chain investigator Web3 antivirus, the victim lost $49,999,950 in USDT after copying a malicious wallet address from their transaction history. Address poisoning scams rely on lookalike wallet addresses being inserted into a victim's transaction history via small transfers. When victims later copy an address from their transaction history, they may unknowingly select the scammer's lookalike address instead of the intended recipient. Now, on-chain data shows the victim initially sent a small test transaction to the correct address. Minutes later, however, the full $50 million was transferred and sent to the poisoned address. A security researcher, Koz, co-founder or founder of Slowmist, noted that the similarity between the addresses was subtle enough, but enough to deceive even experienced users. They say you can see that the first three characters and the last four characters are exactly the same, he wrote. Now, as Cointelegraph has reported during the year, crypto-related hacks have resulted in $3.4 billion in losses this year, 2025, marking the highest annual total since 2022. The surge was largely driven by a handful of massive breaches targeting major crypto entities rather than a broad rise in average attack size. Just three incidents accounted for 69% of total losses this year, led by the $1.4 billion hack of crypto exchange Bybit, which alone made up nearly half of all the stolen funds. So this story that we're ending off on the year, at least, is just a reminder, ladies and gents, that whether it be online shopping, Black Friday, whether you're sending crypto, is always do your due diligence. Double check, triple check. All right. Insurance is a thing because once that money is gone, it is gone. Bear in mind that the person that received that $50 million has now bought into Ethereum and split all of that into various different wallets, and some into Tornado Cash as well. So once it's there, it's very difficult to get back. So not your keys, not your crypto. Please look after yourself around that. Now, speaking about that as well, we are in a bit of a volatile market. We're still in a bit of a volatile market. Vicky, tell us a little bit more about where the Fear and Greed Index is sitting.
Yeah, so the market was really flat over the weekend. We're seeing a little rally today, which is actually being reflected in the Fear and Greed Index, and it's gained a little bit back from last week, and it's now hovering about 25. So it's a direct reflection of what's happening in the market today. And maybe Santa did receive our letters because some of us wrote letters to Santa saying, please get the market up for Christmas, but we'll see what happens. And let's look at Bitcoin to see actually what's going to happen.
Absolutely. All right. So, as mentioned a week ago, last week, Monday, when we were talking about this as well, we expected some chop. And that's exactly what happened. Over the last 7 days, we've just seen this up and down movement sideways. And I said I'd like to see Bitcoin at least close back then a week ago around the 93,000. You guys can go back and check that recording, but we did say we wanted to see that. But however, there is going to be some serious resistance there. I do anticipate, Vicky, I think Santa is listening. I do anticipate that we are going to see a little bit of uptick. I've got a feeling that we may well close over certain resistance issues here today or tomorrow, just ahead of Christmas. But I think we're going to be testing this range. I'd like to see Bitcoin close and stay above 90,000, but specifically in around the 92, 93,000. Again, if you guys are using the Neon Green HODL file, the HODL file, we have had a pivot bottom and a buy tag that is currently in play. So if you guys did follow the previous up-down movement, buy and the sell, there was opportunity to make a bit in Bitcoin, but the same would have accounted for Ethereum, Solana, and a bunch of others as well. This is fairly positive, but as mentioned, I'd like to see Bitcoin close 92, 93,000. We're going to hit a little bit of resistance, and once we've broken free of that, I think we're going to have that 100,000 still to deal with until I think maybe at the end of the year, we may be, which is not too far away. It's only what, 9 days away. We're probably going to be looking in and around this range. That's my little guess, 97, 98. Heavy resistance, 100,000. But for the meantime, ladies and gents, let's all have some positive wishes that Santa is going to deliver, and we're going to see it break up here. And in the next few days, at least, just in time for Christmas, a little bit of positive movement, and we start to see some of these other coins really start to fly from a scalp trading perspective and from a HODL fire perspective as well. But let's talk about what else is happening in the lodge, in the HODLNOTS ecosystem for the next few days.
Well, in the lodge, there are no calls. Back to you, John.
Fantastic.
So, so no, actually, there are no calls in the lodge this week. We are giving everyone a little break over this week and next week, actually. But if you are doing the self-paced course, we are still having that call, which is actually in 7 minutes from now. So jump on that. And then tomorrow there will also be another self-paced call, and both of these calls will be for people regardless of the chapter or module you're on. Please jump on that one or this one, because there is no call on Thursday. It's Christmas Day, so we're not having a call on Thursday. And then tomorrow on the 23rd, we are still having the HODLNOTS. No, we're having the HODL Fire graduate support call. So that will be at 12 p.m. UTC still. We have to end the year off with a bang, see if we can HODL fire over the Christmas break. But really, other than that, there are no calls. So wasn't
And
too
on
far off.
Absolutely. And on that note, ladies and gents, this is the last HODLNOTS weekly warm-up for the year. Next week, Monday, there is no call. We're all taking a little bit of a break. But that said, the same calls that are happening today and tomorrow, i.e., the self-paced call that's happening in now 6 minutes time, and the graduate support call that's happening tomorrow will also be repeated again next week, Monday, and next week, Tuesday as well. So keep your eyes on the notifications for that. There is a list in those channels already. But yes, I see there's been a message come in as well. Thank you to our German friends as well. To all who celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, and whatever religious holiday you might be at this time, may you all have a festive, beautiful, festive, joyous time with family, friends, and time just to relax. And if you are in trades, make sure you're using a stop loss. If you are taking a bit of a break from the screens, good for you as well. The crypto market will continue, and we will continue back in the next year, 2026. Which there's been a few great ones from the 4A to the HODLNOTS Happy Hour Hangout last week. 2020 Crypto Fix was pretty good. Catch the wicks, watch the wicks. We will see what is going to be happening on January the 5th when we return. Vicky?
Yeah, and with that note, I just wanted to leave everyone with a thought for Christmas, if you do so, even if you don't celebrate Christmas. So some of us have white Christmases, some of us don't. But for all of you out there dreaming of having a white for Christmas, fear not. If you can't have white, I'm sure there's plenty of red to drink instead.
There we go. The red and whites. They're exact. We need bigger glasses. But yes, ladies and gents, be safe. Have a fantastic time, and we will see you guys in the new year in 2026. Until then, bye.